believe you want to work. Now, this was irrelevant. I hadn't said anything about work. The topic of conversation I had introduced was food. In fact, I didn't want to work. I want to take her westbound overland that night. You wouldn't work if you had a chance, he pleaded. I glanced at his meek-faced wife and knew that for the presence of this Cerberus, I'd have a whack at the meat pie myself, but Cerberus stopped himself in the pie, and I saw that I must placate him if I were get a share of it. So I sighed at myself and accepted his work morality. Of course, I want work, I bluffed. Don't believe it, he snorted. Try me, I answered, warming to the bluff. All right, he said. Come to the corner of the blank and blank street. I have forgotten the address. Tomorrow morning, you know where that burned building is, and I'll put you work toasting in brief. All right, sir. I'll be there. He grunted and went on eating. I waited. After a couple of minutes, he looked up with a I thought you were gone expression of his face and demanded, well, I am waiting for something to eat, I said gently. I knew you wouldn't work, he roared. In the meantime, I began, but he interrupted. If I gave you something to eat now, I'd never see you again. Oh, I know you're kind. Look at me. I owe no man. I have never descended so low as to ask anyone for food. I have always earned my food. The trouble with you is that you are idle and dissolute. I can see it in your face. I have worked and been honest. I have made myself fatherly. And you do the same. If you work and are honest. Like you, I queried. Ours. No ray of the humor had ever penetrated the sombre, work-sodden soul of that man. Yes, like me, he answered. All of us? I queried. Yes, all of you, he answered, convincing, vibrating in his voice. But if we all became like you, I said, allow me to point out that there will be nobody to toss brick for you. I swear there was a flicker of a smile in his wife's eye. As for me, he was aghast, horrified, aghast. But whether at the awful possibility of a reformed humanity that would not enable him to get anybody to toss bricks for him, and my impudence, I shall never know. Introduce the narrator, the author, the hobo who is hungry. Introduce the key actor, a man, also make a distinction. The man is not a hobo. He lives in the house and is well fed. Elaborate distinction, the man doesn't stop eating in front of a hungry person. Elaborate distinction again. The evidence leads the author to draw a conclusion. Introduce a key event. The man accused London of not wanting to work. Elaborate information on the narrator. London confirms he doesn't want to work. Introduce new key individual. The man's wife also emphasized a distinction. She is meek, or opposed to the husband, who is a bully. London elaborates on the husband by comparing him to the mystical, multi-headed dog, and God is the Roman underworld. Introduce another event. the man offers London work. Also use dialogue to develop the individual in the story and explain the key event. The author outwit the man. The author elaborates on the wife. The author mentions a flicker in her eye and distinguishes her from her husband again. You can also think about structure as a way of finding out who and what is important. The author probably starts by introducing key individual and event. Why are these people or things important? The author most likely will illustrate and elaborate on them. Last, the author may use structure to show who someone or something is unique or part of something greater. Something but if that's the goal, the author will make a connection and distinction between individual and event. Example: Robert Stuart Ball introduced the famous astronomer Galileo in his book Great Astronomers, Galileo Galilei. Galileo was born in Pisa on 18th February 1564. He was the eldest son of Vincenzo di Bonatuni di Galilei, the Florentine noble. Notwithstanding his illustrious birth and descent, it would seem that the home in which the great philosopher's childhood was spent was an impoverished one. It was obvious, at least, that the young Galileo would have to be provided some profession by which he might earn a livelihood. From his father, he derived both by inheritance and by percept a keen taste for music, and it appeared that he became an excellent performer on the lute. He was also endowed with considerable artistic power, which he cultivated diligently. Indeed, it would seem that for some time the future astronomer entertained the idea of devoting himself to painting as a profession. His father, however, decided that he should study medicine. Accordingly, we find that when Galileo was 17 years of age, he had added knowledge of Greek and Latin to his acquaintance with fine art. He was duly entered at the University of Pisa. This profile of the Galileo begins at Galileo's birth, so it's probably a chronological structure. Galileo's father may turn out to be a key individual. Also elaborated on family circumstances and how they affect Galileo. Elaborate on Galileo and his father. This line is the logical conclusion of the fact before it. Galileo had musical talent, so he learned to play an instrument. This new revelation about Galileo builds on the fact we already know about his artistic talent. Again, you are learning about the character of both Galileo and his father. His father is practical and Galileo obeys him. This sentence moves the reader to the next chronological step in Galileo's life, but it's also the logical conclusion of everything else we've learned previously.